Good afternoon, Canada. Welcome back to another live stream. I don't know how to start these because normally this is for House of Canada. It's like all what happens in Parliament. And since the vote for the budget is in Parliament, we're streaming on House of Canada. But for those that are reoccurring or casual viewers or whatever, you know, that's usually how I start my question period live streams, by yelling "Good morning, Canada." And then now I'm just confused. I don't know what to yell. So maybe we'll just yell later together. We're at a crossroads today, folks. Today is budget day, budget vote day. Aujourd'hui, c'est le jour du budget. How'd that sound, huh? Not too bad. Not too bad. All right. We're at a crossroads today, folks. Two things, two outcomes can happen. 50-50. One outcome is the budget gets passed, and then Canada spends hundreds of billions of dollars, leading us into a 78 point yada yada just round up. A $80 billion deficit in 1 year. 1 year, $80 billion deficit in 1 year. That's one way. That's route A. Route B is Canadian parties, Canadian politicians come together and they say, oh, hell no, we have no confidence in your budget, to which that effect would be a domino effect, and that would trigger a federal election. It's called toppling the government. And so right now, option A, option B, pass the budget, spend. Option B, election. And so it's kind of a very tricky situation to be in, because a lot of people that are watching this right now on this channel are likely conservative, and likely a lot of people are, well, you know what? I'm just going to put it down in the live chat right now. Do you want a election now? Yes or no? Instead of me putting words in your mouth, just go and vote on the poll. I just did it right now. I just launched a poll live. But from my understanding, from a poll I did on House of Canada this morning, that got either 3,000 or close to 3,000 votes or something of the sorts, it was about 70% yes. So conservative voters, conservative supporters, people who are conservative by nature, by value, by voting, are wanting another federal election. And this is where it gets tricky, because some data, a lot of data, maybe most of the data is showing that might not be good for the conservatives. But if the mainstream media is saying it, then it's almost like, well, we got to do it now, right? It's like the mainstream media saying, don't put your hand in the cookie jar. Well, how about you don't tell me what to do? Now I want to put my hand in the cookie jar, right? So here we are at the crossroads of an election, of not an election, of a January election, or mass spending leading to a $80 billion. Holy shit, man. $80 billion deficit. That's not saying that we're spending $80 billion. This budget, I think, is like 360 some billion dollars of spending, but we're only bringing in $280 billion, leaving us in a $78.3 billion deficit or something. So that's a lot of debt. That's a lot of money. And that's if things go perfect. And we know from 10 years of Liberals and Justin Trudeau and the same government we have now, just with a different leader, that things don't go perfect. And even though that's the budget, things just like contract work go over budget. Even the PBO, the Parliamentary Budget Officer, said, oh yeah, Carney forgot to mention the extra 90 some billion dollars of a spending. Oops. Anyways, so that would bring us into an even potentially bigger deficit. And so here we are right now. There's nothing that you and I can do. This isn't a vote that you get to do. It's not a vote that I get to do, other than the just opinion poll that's now down in the live chat. And if I take a look at it right now, 576 votes, and 78% of people are saying, yes, they want an election. Canadians are hungry. Conservative Canadians are hungry for an election. And to that, I say, let's just fucking do it. Like, honestly, let's just do it. There's till January to fix the messaging. Pierre Poilievre and the Conservatives can really undo some of the wrongdoings they've done, and they can pump a bunch of money into it. They can raise donations, they can campaign hard, and they can win people over, because we've had Mark Carney now for 6 months. And where have we gotten? Trade negotiations not only have gone worse with America, but they've completely halted. They've actually gone backwards. So we're regressing. That's not good. 6 months into it and you've regressed with the world's superpower, which we border. Every fucking country in the world is able to talk with America. Hamas can talk with America and figure out a trade deal. Dudes that want to blow them up and blow you up and probably blow each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, Hamas can talk with Trump and get a fucking trade deal, but Canada can't. Isn't that insane? Isn't that just freaking insane? Even China's like, yeah, you know, maybe we should probably do a trade deal with America. Canada, really? We can't even get a trade deal with America. So Carney's not doing good. Like, he's made a lot of promises. And again, promises are 10 years of promises with Trudeau. And where did it get us? We regressed hard. Like, we went backwards in time, like pretty hard. That still sucks. And we're still feeling the effects of that. So here we are with a crossroads determination happening today. And if I refer back to the live chat right now, we're almost at 1,000 votes. We're at 750 some votes, and we're still at 78% of people who voted want an election. So again, this is going to be pretty freaking interesting. But we've got some news to take a look at before we get into it, because the vote's happening for a little bit. And you know what I like to do on Question Period and also Canada? I like to go a little early, like to have a little fun. Well, the news is not it's not going to make you feel better. I'm sorry, but you should probably, I don't like endorse drinking, but have a drink for me, please. Have a drink, because this is going to get ugly. We're talking about how Canada is. Are you ready to get mad, by the way? Like, this is going to make you angry. And I don't mean to do this. I'm not looking to rage bait people. This makes me angry, like genuinely angry. And I take my anger out by drinking like 2 or 3 of these coffees a day. I wish it was booze. I don't have any booze right now. Damn it. I should text my wife. She's upstairs right now. Hey, honey, can you get booze for after? I drink my feelings away. Okay. Canada. You ready for this? I don't know if you guys are ready. Hit the like button, would you? Come on, hit the like button. Subscribe to the channel. Come on, let's get those numbers up. Canada is soon to be selling cloned meat, fabricated meat in grocery stores, which is messed up, right? Like, what? You mean like it's not coming from a real animal? It's coming from a lab, like some weird science shit? Yeah. No, that's exactly what's happening. But here's the craziest part. I guess crazier, right? They don't have to label it as cloned meat. So you go to the grocery store and you buy yourself a steak, which is overly expensive anyways. And you're like, oh, look, this one's like on sale. Neat. And you can buy it. And and it's not even labeled as like clone meat. Like, there's no markings that you wouldn't know until maybe you ate it, and maybe you can tell the difference. Maybe not. I don't know. That's kind of weird. It's like catfishing, but for food and our health. Let's have a look.
Meat from cloned animals will soon be hitting grocery store shelves, and new Health Canada regulations will not require meat producers to label whether the beef or pork is coming from a cloned animal. We have heard of cloned situations in the past, but now they're hitting the grocery store shelves. So what can you tell us?
Well, I think a lot of people are concerned. About 2 weeks ago, we were hearing from different industry leaders that Health Canada was going to move ahead, considering the offsprings of cloned animals, not the cloned animals per se, to be sold without any labels, without any risk assessment whatsoever. And also, Health Canada doesn't intend to send out a press release to let Canadians know. So there's a lot of unknowns here, and I think a lot of Canadians are caught by surprise. And if you look at social media right now, a lot of people are a little upset.
I'm sorry, but if somebody tricks me into eating cloned meat, I'm gonna fuck you up. I don't even know what that means. That's not a threat, but like, I'm gonna call your mom and tell her to slap you, because I don't want to do the violence myself, but I'll tell your mom to slap you. This is insane, dude. Health Canada's like, no, we don't need the labels. The Canadians, whatever, they could figure it out. What the fuck? What the fuck? We're gonna be eating cloned meat and not even know. Oh my goodness, man. What the hell is going on with this country, man? We need another election. So desperately, we need another election, and we need to just stop this from ever happening.
Upset by the fact that these products aren't going to be labeled at all. So you and I won't know whether or not the product actually is coming from cloning whatsoever.
Why are they cloning at all? Do we need to do this?
Well,
if they say climate change, I'm gonna lose it.
Essentially, cloning is about optimizing the genetic pool of a herd, I guess. It's if there is an animal out there that you feel that has actually provided to the market, the perfect steak with the perfect marbling, you want to, well, recreate that animal. That's what cloning is. We're not talking about lab-grown meat here. That's totally different. Cloning is about optimizing animal genetics, essentially. So it's by cloning another animal that is perfect for the market, and you do that instead of just going through artificial insemination, which is really the conventional way to do it.
Okay, so I guess, is the government listening to people's concerns?
Nope.
I'd say yes. I mean, the science is pretty clear from a food safety perspective. There shouldn't be any concerns at all. I mean, there's actually a lot of literature on this issue the last 25 years. But the science is not really the problem here. It's the silence, really, I think. Because if you're concerned about cloning, you'll know that there's some trial and error. So if you're an animal welfare activist, if you care about animal welfare, you may be concerned about cloning in general. We do label halal products, kosher products, and a lot of people are wondering, well, why not clone animals as well? So that darkness within the supply chain is making a lot of people feel uneasy.
Yeah, there's been no clear direction as to why they're not labeling them.
That's messed up, man. The fact that the government or the government agencies are like, yeah, we don't need to label it. That's freaking nuts to me. Absolutely nuts. And the Liberal government does nothing about this, huh? They're just like, yeah, whatever. You'll own nothing and be happy, and you won't even be eating meat, and it's great for climate change or whatever. Holy crap.
That's not good.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would want to know, just out of curiosity, if nothing else.
I would too. Honestly, I think we're again repeating the same mistake. We saw that with GMOs back in the 90s. It entered our food supply, and now we have several people concerned about genetic engineering, and we're not labeling that. There's a voluntary labeling policy in Canada for genetically modified ingredients, but it's not mandatory. And again, we're just not allowing consumers to befriend any technological advancements within the supply chain.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very interesting. Okay, so
messed up.
Nutritionally wise, going back to the actual clone meat, it's fine as far as you know for people to eat?
Well, Jennifer, if I give you two pieces of meat, one is conventional, the other one is clone, you won't be able to tell the difference, to be honest, okay? Because you're basically recreating.
You don't get to make that decision for people, period. You have to give people the ability to make that decision on their own. Do they want to eat the clone or do they want to eat the regular meat? You can't force this on people and make that decision and trick people. Like, this shit is going to cause a civil war, man. This is insane. Like, what the fuck is wrong with the Canadian government?
The same animal. However, if it is labeled and I offer you the clone meat half price, which one would you choose?
And there it is.
Yeah.
The pricing situation.
Exactly.
So it might be cheaper meat in the end.
Well, it costs less. Eventually, it will cost us for industry to produce meat. So again, without labeling, how can
gross.
consumers possibly benefit from these technological advances? That's really the matter here.
Well, and we know what meat.
Yeah, and that's what that's what's going on with the liberals, is they just want to trick people into everything, and that's probably what you're going to see. I mean, you can't clone housing, but they're probably going to be doing something similar for the housing crisis. That's the liberals' attempt to solve the food crisis, or part of it. Clone meat, make it for half the price, basically get rid of all farming in Canada and just grow all the food in a lab and justify it somehow. And then for housing, it's all going to be like those modular homes, the ones that, you know, Brookfield actually make. They've invested in companies that make modular home, who the prime minister is a part of, affiliated to the company, and would greatly benefit from that. And he's the one that gets to call the shots on which companies get hired to do the contract work. Kind of crazy how all this is playing out, man. This is very, very bizarre. Very, very bizarre.
Michael Carberg, nice to see you. How are you doing?
Very well, Jeff. Thank you. It's good to see you. Interesting times.
Interesting times. So let's talk about that. You know, I think for years, Canadians got used to, when it came to relations with China, wolf warrior diplomacy, hostage diplomacy. But the tone of that diplomacy has really changed recently. You've written that China is sweet-talking us. What do you mean by that?
Essentially that it's a change in tone, but not a very significant change in substance. But it does matter. It is, when Prime Minister Carney and President Xi talk about it as a turning point, it is in the sense that it's a signal from Xi Jinping on down that it's okay to talk to the Canadians again. And they've essentially been freezing us out for the last several years. That is an important step in progress, which I agree with. But, and there's a big but, that's all happening in the context of a very difficult geopolitical situation where China and Russia are pursuing objectives that are ultimately hostile and problematic to not just Canada, but to all Western democracies.
If you were advising the Canadian government on that, how should they proceed as they look to, you know, rehabilitate this relationship with Beijing?
Canada is looking for means of driving economic growth, probably through trying to sell more commodities and energy and natural resources to China while managing dependency, not becoming too dependent on China in any one of those sectors or areas. The risk now in negotiations is that Canadian politicians, under pressure to try to alleviate the economic pain from the United States, rush into agreements with China that may deliver some economic benefits for Canadians in the short term, but have problematic implications for Canadian sovereignty, for our ability to make our own choices about our future, our freedoms. They want Canada to be silent on things like its aggressive behavior in the South China Sea, on its coercion and slow strangulation of Taiwan, on its support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine, on its transnational repression and other foreign interference activities.
Yeah. There's a lot of problems with China, like a significant amount of problems. So I don't understand why the government is trying to cozy up to China so much, like creating so much distance between America and trying to make China the new replacement, right? We're going to rely less on America, but that dependence doesn't just now become independence. It just shifts dependence from one country to somebody else, and that is unfortunately China. Our government is trying to sell the country out to China. Very weird. And if you had to pick who is our daddy, who is our papa, would it be America or would it be China? I'll tell you, without even hesitating, for me, it's going to be America, right? Obviously, as time goes on, yeah, we'd like to be a little bit more independent, find ways to make additional money. right? Not so much on America, but maybe other countries. I get diversifying. I get that 100%. But they're very much banking on the fact that China can pick up where America has left off. And that is very, very bizarre. But now we're going to shift away from that. We're going to take a look at what's going on with the budget. Okay. You'd be surprised, or I guess not surprised, to know that Doug Ford, the fat pig with rabies out of Ontario, the governor of Ontario, right? The premier of Ontario, supports Mark Carney's federal budget. Huh. Funny. He's not a conservative at all. He's a progressive conservative, but he's actually a liberal. Because only a liberal would support this much debt. Let's have a look.
To the Premier of Ontario, Doug Ford, after meeting with the Prime Minister and First Minister's meeting with other premiers across the country that's wrapped up, and Ford is speaking now. Let's listen in.
Lumber manufacturing of all types, and I just feel that we're going to have to focus on what we can do, what Canada can do, what Ontario can do to create the environment and the conditions to attract companies to come here and invest. And our number one selling feature, we have many, but our talent. We have the most talented people anywhere in the world. No matter if it's our energy, our nuclear sector, or manufacturing sector, tech sector, AI sector, and the list keeps going on. But that's what we need to do, is make sure that we create an environment, again, with lower taxes, less red tape, less regulations to attract companies.
Did he give you any indication, Premier, whether he thought the budget would pass? And do you hope the budget passes this afternoon or this evening? I guess it is.
Well, I hope so. I hope the budget passes. He didn't mention if he thought it was passing or not, but I'm pretty confident it's in the best interest of the country to make sure we pass this budget. We work together. It doesn't matter what political stripe you're from. We need to work as Team Canada right now, and that's exactly what we're doing.
Do you still disagree about the cyclical tariff? Do you still oppose the national structure?
I do. I think especially in our steel sector. I know the Prime Minister will be meeting with the CEOs, I believe tomorrow, the steel sector. A couple things. We have to make sure that the threshold rate now on tariffs in the steel sector was 60%, and the quota now has been dropped to 50%. I'm going to simplify this. Most steel manufacturing countries around the world, their domestic use is 65 to 85%, meaning they use their own steel. Here in Canada, it's 35%. That's unacceptable. We need to drop the quota down to 25%. So anything over and on top of 25%, these countries get tariffed. I won't name the countries, but there's many of them. They slap a made in whatever country sticker on their steel, ship it over. We know it's cheap Chinese steel with the made in whatever Pakistan sticker on it, because they're one of the countries, and they dump cheap steel here in Ontario. That hurts our steel industry. So that's one of many, a quick fix for our steel sector that we'd be looking for.
Did the Prime Minister talk at all about how he would like the provinces to be involved or not involved in the negotiations with the United States?
Well, he specifically said that we should be out there speaking. One comment was about speaking to China, and he encouraged it. And we work collaboratively with the federal government, no matter where we go around the world, and make sure that we, again, sing off the same song sheet as Team Canada. And that's what we're going to focus on.
Did he tell the premiers at all not to run any more commercials, as an example, or
no.
in any way to invest?
No, he
You can be pro Team Canada and still stand on your own 2 feet and not cave in for your values, right? He tries to brand himself under the Progressive Conservative Party of Ontario, that he's a conservative, but that just isn't the reality, right? You can say that we should be working together without compromising your values. And if you're the leader of a big political party, which he is, and obviously Ontario has a lot of influence, then you shouldn't just be like, yeah, absolutely, we're just going to, like, for sure, drop everything that we stand for and, like, just side with everything the Liberals say. Like, that's a very weird tactic to have. Very, very weird. And it just goes to show that you're not truly a conservative.
didn't say anything along those lines. We just look forward to continuing to work with the federal government, getting our message out around the world. I want to thank Vic Fideli. I still don't know how he does it, my Minister of Economic Development. He's on a plane all over the world every day. It's absolutely exhausting. But every day he brings back new opportunities. I met with him this morning. He had 4 pages of multi-billion-dollar investments that want to invest in Ontario and in the people of Ontario because we've created the climate for companies to come here by reducing the cost of doing business here by $12 billion each and every single year. But we have to again get rid of the duplication from the federal government. No matter if it's the Ring of Fire, it's one window, one project, one decision, and I think he's heard that message not just from me but other premiers across our province.
Okay. So there you go. We got more confirmation that Dougie Boy is a freaking liberal, supporting everything that Mark Carney does, not standing on his own 2 feet, not even, he's never even supported Pierre Poilievre. He's also never even congratulated Pierre Poilievre when he won his riding with a good election, right? Like nothing, just absolutely nothing. It's kind of disgraceful. But then speaking of disgraceful, well, we have to take a look at Mark Carney, who said this in the House of Commons earlier today when speaking with Elizabeth May.
Can the Prime Minister agree that it is a deficiency in the budget that our legally binding Paris commitments are not mentioned? Can he confirm here on the floor of this House that in passing this budget, the government is committed to holding to as far below 2 degrees as possible, to funding climate adaptation, to delivering on the nature strategy, and continuing to engage in meaningful Indigenous reconciliation?
The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the Honourable...
The Prime Minister to start from the top. The Right Honourable Prime Minister.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I'd like to thank the Honourable Member for advocacy of the Youth Climate Corps, which is in this budget and which this House can vote for. Vote for the future of this country. Mr. Speaker, this budget puts us on the path for real results for climate, for nature, for reconciliation. I can confirm to this House that we will respect our Paris commitments for climate change and we're determined to achieve them. I can confirm with this House that consistent with our Kunming, Montreal commitments, the nature strategy will release in the coming weeks. We will build this country strong, sustainable, and pure for future generations.
So that kind of answer alone that Mark Carney gave, well, by him standing up and acknowledging Elizabeth May's question, that's why you had all of those cheers, is because Carney, like, usually that doesn't happen from the Liberals, right? Not to like blow smoke up his ass and say good job, but I mean, kind of, not in the sense of his answer was good, but in the fact that he actually got up and was like, you know what, I'm going to address this question head on. But it's very strategic. So this is the thing, is the fact that Mark Carney was able to just get up and answer Elizabeth May's question when she directed it specifically to him. Because we've all seen this, right? Sean Fraser will get up, Harry Potsmoker will get up, anybody but the Prime Minister will get up, right? At least that's how it was with Justin Trudeau. We saw a little bit of that when Mark Carney first got in and first started attending question period. But this was a very strategic song and dance with the Green Party and with the Prime Minister. And the reason I say that is because after that, like immediately after that took place, this is what happened with Elizabeth May. Green Party Elizabeth May will vote yes on the Liberals' federal budget. Have a look.
But then they could be voting on their apps somewhere else. I couldn't vote for that budget as I read it. I made it clear why I found it so very deficient. And one of the reasons was the Paris Agreement, and our commitment to it wasn't even mentioned. Our commitments to climate adaptation weren't mentioned, and I felt it weakened where we were on the nature agenda and the Kunming-Montreal Agreement that wasn't mentioned. So, as you could tell, and as I've said for so often that I think I've spoken to all of you individually, I was still talking to the government, talking to people within the Prime Minister's office, talking to various ministers, to see if there was some way to remedy a document in print that I couldn't support. I think we found that way today. I heard overwhelmingly from my constituents and Canadians from coast to coast that they wanted someone to stop an election happening by accident. That's a place of responsibility. And I heard my own inner voice say, we're at the very edge of it being too late for us to be sure that our own children and grandchildren alive today can live in a livable world where human civilization is sustainable. Without what I heard from the Prime Minister today, I would have voted no. I didn't like the idea of ducking and abstaining, although that was a possibility. I wasn't afraid of an election for me personally, for the Green Party. But the answer is, I heard a firm commitment to something I hadn't heard before from Mark Carney, Prime Minister, that I'd heard previously from Mark Carney, former Governor of the Bank of Canada, former Governor of the Bank of England, former Special Envoy for Climate Finance to the Secretary General of the United Nations. I heard a firm commitment we will meet our Paris targets. That requires action very soon, because the first target we're going to hit is 2030 and then 2035. Legally binding treaty commitments, and a commitment to do far more that we've heard in the budget with funding for the Kunming-Montreal commitments to nature, to stop beating up on Mother Earth and start the process of CPR. So, against what I had expected to say to you today, I'm going to vote yes for the country.
Fuck you. Straight up. Fuck you, Elizabeth May. Go back to Salt Spring Island and eat some ferns. Oh my goodness. I was originally going to vote against it, but, you know, I put in some demands. Mark Carney didn't meet any of them, but he got up and he addressed my question directly. And so I just think I got to do what's best for the country. Shut the fuck up. No, you don't. Come on. She literally said that if there's anything in the budget, she was almost in tears weeks ago when she said this, if there's anything in the budget that would make her granddaughter's future worse, an example, anything that's pro-oil and gas, anything that goes against the whole climate change narrative, then she could not live with herself. I believe is the exact words that she said. Somebody go on X, find exactly that clip, because I don't know if it was, I wouldn't be able to live with myself, or I don't know what I'd be able to do. I can't in good faith do that. Something of the sorts. But let's just, for dramatic effect, say that she wouldn't be able to live with herself if she voted in favor of something that made her granddaughter's future worse. And here she is. I mean, I don't think it's making her granddaughter's future worse. She thinks it's making her granddaughter's future worse, and she's still supporting it because Mark Carney, who's, she just named all of his achievements in past titles. Bank of Canada governor, Bank of England governor, this and that, and blah, blah, blah. She did that to try and make herself feel better and try to justify it, to, you know, soften the blow a little bit. And she's siding with them. She has no spine. Elizabeth May, you're a coward. You at least are a predictable radical retard in my book. At least you stand on the principle of being green, and you're predictable. You hate anything oil and gas, even though you drive a car likely that's oil and gas. You buy clothes and food that was delivered using oil and gas, but at least you're predictable with your virtue signaling bullshit. But today of all days, out the window with a bunch of sob fake ass tears. There you go. There you go. So no longer predictable, I guess. No longer predictable. Let's have a look now at the potential outcome that we're facing. HOC staffer says here's some math for the budget vote. 343 MPs. 172 to win a vote if everybody votes. $171 means a tie and the speaker supports. 170 minus 1 for speaker, so 169. Plus 1 for Elizabeth May, so 170 votes in favor of budget. Those who would likely oppose: the Conservatives at 143, the Bloc at 22, 165 votes against the budget. Again, that's if everybody votes. 7 NDP to do what? 7 opposed or 7 for an election. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight. We're going to have to see. We're going to have to see. Taking the same math, here's a few more scenarios. Genereux or one other CPC and Bloc doesn't vote. That means 170 for and 164 against. Plus 7 NDP means the budget is defeated. So we're not just worried about who people are necessarily voting for. We also have to keep in mind that people can abstain from voting. So maybe Elizabeth May was thinking of abstaining from voting, but that's no longer the case. She clearly did that little charade, and she's planning on voting for the budget. Maybe her granddaughter will give her a call and say, "Grandma, don't, please don't do it." I don't know. Who knows? But she seems pretty bent and fixated on supporting it. So if the NDP abstain from voting, the Conservatives and the Bloc don't have enough to block it. It'd be 170 to 165, essentially. If the NDP vote in favor of the budget, well, then they vote in favor, and it's a super big win. If they vote against it and block it with the Conservatives and the Bloc, then we have an election, which would take place sometime in January. So far, we've got Elizabeth May, who's come out and said, yes, she's going to support it. The NDP's been flip-flopping. They still don't know. As of this moment, right now, on this live stream, the NDP hasn't really fully committed to yes or no yet. They're like, well, maybe. Well, we're thinking, well, but, you know, like they're just flip-floppy, right? So it wasn't a Jagmeet Singh proprietary characteristic. It's an NDP thing. Now, at the provincial level, you've got Doug Ford, who supports the budget. Danielle Smith, she hasn't come out and said whether she does or doesn't. Not that I've seen. Susan Holt, the Premier of New Brunswick, has this to say about the budget.
I can't believe I'm asking you this, but would you like to see a federal election, or would you like to see the budget pass tonight?
I can't believe you're asking me that either. I've got a bit of election fatigue myself. I think this budget has some good things in it for New Brunswick. I don't think there's a lot of New Brunswickers that want to go to the polls in the middle of winter. We know that ties up resources and energy, and I think folks want us to get on with it. We're in the middle of a trade war. We need to put our focus on growing our economy. I want to make sure I can deliver good paying jobs for New Brunswickers, a health system that serves them, and an affordable life here. And another, whatever it is, 5 or 6 weeks of election takes us away from what New Brunswickers need, which is government that's serving them and acting to make things better.
You remember a few moments ago how I said Elizabeth May, how she said that she wouldn't be able to support the budget because it would make life for her granddaughter worse? I've got that clip.
How will you be voting on today's sub-amendment from the Conservatives?
I'll be voting now.
And on the block amendment for tomorrow?
I have to reconsider it, but I think
I probably am voting no on amendments, and I'm probably voting no on the budget. This is a huge deficit they're looking at while also having austerity. It's a complex mess of disappointments.
So if you had to give it a rating now, or a grade, because it's been a couple of days now and you had time to go through it, what letter grade would you give the budget when it comes to climate?
On climate? F. It is a budget that abandons our future generations. It's an immoral budget. It's a budget that's geared to beat Trump's big, beautiful bill to provide more incentive to large transnationals, and it shovels money hand over fist to billionaires while ignoring the needs of Canadians.
Woo! This dishes things out for billionaires and ignores things for Canadians. November 6th. 11 days later, and this is what Elizabeth May said today.
Canadians from coast to coast, that they wanted someone to stop an election happening by accident. That's a place of responsibility. And I heard my own inner voice say, we're at the very edge of it being too late for us to be sure that our own children and grandchildren alive today can live in a livable world where human civilization is sustainable.
11 days ago, you frickin' idiot, you said there's no way you could support the budget. And then today, because Mark Carney addressed you personally in the House of Commons and gave you a little winky dink, now all of a sudden you're like, I support the budget. I support it. Give me a freaking break, man. What a shit show. What a shit show this is. I personally, fuck it. Let's do an election. Let's go. If you're conservative, you got nothing to worry about. Let's just pound the messaging for the next couple of months until we have an election. Let's promote conservative values. Let's go educate our retard liberal friends and family members, and let's go do the right thing. Let's vote in a way that is not liberal. If you're that confident in your values and what you stand for, then that's fine. Then you'll put it on the line. But if you're not that confident, then you're afraid of the election. I say we vote against the budget, and if it triggers an election, then so be it. A lot of other people think that's not strategically fine, right? We gotta wait it out, right? We gotta wait it out, and we gotta side with the liberals, and we don't want an election because we could, lose. But shut the hell up, man. If you're that if you stand firm on your beliefs, then whatever happens, happens. It's not guaranteed that the liberals win. It's not guaranteed that the conservatives win or lose. We don't know. We know, though, that we've gone backwards and regressed with Mark Carney at the helm. We know that the media is saying that Pierre Poilievre shouldn't be doing an election. And so now all of a sudden you've got people out there that are trusting the media going, yeah, you're right, we should do an election. Shut the fuck up. If the media is saying one thing, chances are the truth is on the other side. So if they're saying that Pierre Poilievre would, not benefit and the conservatives would not benefit from an election, that probably means now's a good time to go to a freaking election. What do I know? What do I know? Let's take a look now at CBC. They're bringing on some premiers to talk about the budget.
Tax credit that could be available. That would make a significant difference, because when we talk about nation building projects, again, as I just said, that is a project that's already in the works that could easily be turn around and inject billions of dollars of investment in Canada and our province. And so, yeah, we wanted to make sure that that project is front and center. Defense spending is obviously a big announcement in the budget to talk about the increase in that. We have the facilities, we have the workforce, we have the resources, and as a country, if we're going to engage in nation building projects and defense spending is part of that, then we would expect that Newfoundland and Labrador would be part of that spend as well.
But did you get any answers on those things today, Premier Wakeham, in terms of a yes or a no, or we'll look into it, or do you just get a chance to raise it in terms of whether the ball got moved?
Exactly. Today was about going around, doing a roundtable discussion, and everybody talking about what was of some of the challenges that we raised. I'm looking forward to going to Ottawa, actually. I've spoken with the Minister of Fisheries, Ms. Thompson, and talked to her about setting up a meeting with the Prime Minister, because I think it's important for us to be able to go up and talk to various ministers to talk about these important issues.
Okay. One thing I was wondering about, Premier, is that the hydro project with Newfoundland, Labrador, and Quebec was not referenced on the list of major projects that came out last week from the Prime Minister in the run-up to the Grey Cup. I know you have been skeptical of the deal negotiated by the previous Liberal government and want to put this to a review and a referendum. But I know Quebec's energy minister was in town today for meetings you hosted with the Atlantic premiers and the Eastern Canadian governors. Are you going to sit down and start negotiations with Quebec at any point to see what you can get in parallel to the reviews, or is nothing going to happen on the hydro deals until you've finished your own processes?
Oh, I had a meeting with the minister from Quebec after the conference ended. We had a big conversation, and there's things that we're going to do. As you know, I've committed to the independent review of this deal, and it's something that should have been done back in January. It didn't get done, but we're committed to doing that. At the same time, you know, we had a good conversation today about mutual interests and what we can do.
Okay, but the clock may be running out on the government in Quebec, right? As you know, they've got an election in 2026. Things don't look good for Premier Legault and his colleagues right now. So will you use the time you have to start a renegotiation, or are you intent on just have the review process done first?
Well, the whole intention here is there's lots of things we could talk about that are non-binding, that negotiations continue to go between Newfoundland Hydro and Hydro-Quebec on non-binding parts of that whole agreement. But for me, it's very important. We're talking about not just about an election here. We're talking about signing an agreement potentially for 40 or 50 years that will have a significant impact on the people in Newfoundland and Labrador. And I'm going to make sure we take the time to get it right.
Okay, well, one final question, Premier, if I can. You hosted the governors, the New England governors and Eastern Canadian premiers today. Republican Vermont Governor Phil Scott was there. Did he give you any insight into, as a Republican, into whether they believe tariffs are there to stay? Because I know they want Canadian tourists to come back, and people aren't going to do that until the tariffs go away. What insight did you gain from your meeting with the governors and the premiers today?
Governor Scott was very clear on his messaging about the impacts of tariffs on Canada and the U.S. He's totally against the tariffs. He's a Republican who actually voted against the tariffs, and he stands firm that tariffs are not something that we should be talking about between friends. He thinks that there's a way forward for this, and he's hopeful that and he wants to continue to make sure that we continue to have that relationships. We had great conversations today. We talked about innovation strategy. We talked about all of those things. We talked about potential energy quarters or projects around with New England as well. And,
Right, but did he give you a sense, Premier,
what the hell
whether or
is
not he
that?
thinks tariffs are here to
The
stay or not?
translator's
Or does he
got
think
giggling or something?
You know, it's a temporary measure, or it's there as long as Donald Trump is there.
Well, again, that he was almost apologetic.
Yeah, a lot of that.
For the tariffs that are being imposed on Canada at the time. But I think for him, he in his state of Vermont, he wants to make sure that all of us in Canada know that Vermont is open for business. They would love for Canadians to come back to Vermont from a tourist perspective. And we'll continue to build those relationships and talk about deals, trade deals that we can do, independent of what may or may not be happening in Washington.
Okay, Premier Tony Wakeham, First Minister's meeting, Eastern Governors, Atlantic Premiers. Thanks for squeezing us in here on Power and Politics on a busy day. As Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, Tony Wakeham. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, David.
All right, the Power Panel is back to talk about this for another round. Vandana Cotter, Cheryl Oates, Kate Harrison, and Rob Russo.
They're just bringing in a bunch of people that are just going to agree that the budget should pass, right? And that we should be going into an $80 billion a year deficit to start. All to combat Trump.
Prime Minister today.
I think it's the right one. I think he knows that to get together the premiers, and he's been able to forge fairly positive relationships across all premiers across party lines. So I think he knows more information and more information sharing, coming together, hearing them is better to keep them all united, especially given what's happening with the U.S. And that's a better strategy than should they feel that they're left out, they don't know what's going on, then they have to, they feel like they have to rely on their own resources. So I think this is a good strategy for him. I think it's better to come together more regularly. And if that makes them happy, makes them stay united as Team Canada, then hey, that's a great strategy.
Cheryl, your thoughts on what we heard from the various premiers there?
Yeah, I think it's what you say when you kind of come out of a meeting where the Prime Minister has just promised to give you more information that you had before. I think this is a good step for the Prime Minister. Like, it has been the case that premiers have said they felt like they were in the dark in the past and they felt like they didn't know what was happening. And in some cases, we've seen premiers take things into their own hands and make their own efforts with the United States. Will this stop that from happening?
Yeah, like Dougie
I think
Boy?
it's unlikely to. I think it's helpful, but I think premiers will still be motivated by what makes their citizens happy and makes their citizens in their specific jurisdictions feel like they're fighting for them day after day after day. And so we'll probably still see some of that, but information sharing is a good thing, and I think it will tamp it down if they feel like their moves could hurt Canada-U.S. relations.
Kate, your thoughts?
I think we're still in the kumbaya moment of the First Minister's discussions where people are playing nice. I noticed not in the clips was Danielle Smith. And again,
I don't know if she spoke today. We would have put her in there had we heard. I promise.
That's not
just
you.
letting the audience know.
But the major projects list phase 2 came and went, and missing was a project for Alberta. And so, hard not to observe that there's some picking of winners and losers that may be happening here. And I know the Chamber of Commerce has also said as much, and some concern as well that some of those smaller projects that are really vital for the economic realities of a given province may not rise to that nation building categorization. So what happens to those projects? Are they going to be mired?
Yeah, okay. But the thing about these projects is it's not worth putting ourselves in $80 billion of debt in this first year. And it's all under the under the premise of like fighting back against Trump. So what happens when Trump isn't here, right? What happens when he's no longer president? What happens if he somehow loses the midterms? Like, we don't know, right? So why are we putting so much money into combating Trump when Trump is not the permanent solution to America? But this is going to have permanent and devastating effects to Canada. It's seriously backwards. But we're going to take a look at what's going on in the House. They're debating parts of the budget right now. It's super nerdy, likely boring. Let's have a look.
China and looking at India and actually Indonesia he just signed a deal with. Now the bottom line here is British Columbia is the gateway to Asia Pacific. So guess what? As we look at infrastructure that's going to build ports, whether it's in the prairies or not, or Churchill, or whether it's British Columbia is poised now to trade with Asia Pacific, not only on the seaway, on the Pacific, but also by air. So this is something big for British Columbia. It's going to create lots of jobs. We're looking at the fact that British Columbia is the mines and the critical minerals that are coming there, looking at clean energy such as hydroelectricity. This is something, and LNG, this is something that British Columbia is poised to do well with. But this is not only about building an economy and saying, let's ensure we start looking at manufacturing. I mean, we have a huge lumber industry in British Columbia, and one of the issues there is that we see tariffs. So what do? We're putting money into helping the sectors, whether it's steel, aluminium, the auto sector, or the lumber sector. We're looking at how we help the workers, how we help those industries to survive, but not just to survive, but to expand, to build manufacturing. I like to say, look at IKEA. Sweden could fit into British Columbia and get lost. And yet IKEA is the biggest middle-class industry of furniture in the world. And yet British Columbia has so many forests. Why aren't we building furniture? Why aren't we looking at manufacturing? This budget is big and it's bold and it's going to say, we can do this. We can build this. We can be a strong manufacturing region in British Columbia. So this is good for BC. But I look at the prairies. What's happening when Manitoba agrees that we open up Churchill and we get that port to go out to Europe and to sell our clean energy, whether it's hydrogen, whether it's LNG, whether it's hydroelectricity? We're we're ready. We're poised. This is a budget that talks about build, build, build. This is a budget that looks to the future. It talks about workers. It's a budget for workers. As we build manufacturing, as we build in other sectors, we're looking at good jobs. I like to say that this is such an important thing. And we heard from Unifor. What did Unifor have to say about this? The Unifor believed that this was a big deal. I mean, Unifor, I would like to read, said, building a resilient economy means ensuring that the commitments outlined in the budget translate into good union jobs for Canadian workers. Jobs, Mr. Speaker. That's what people want. Jobs so that people can earn money, they can buy, they can do the things that they need to do. This is also helping people who are having a hard time. All of the sectors that are hurting with tariffs, money has been set aside to help them to be able to rebuild, to help them to be able to reskill. In it for workers, reskilling workers, workers whose jobs are no longer in this new Canada and this new world going to be able to be useful anymore. We're looking at redundancy. So let's retrain, let's reskill. We're looking at students. We talk about youth. Here we have youth who are now moving from 75,000 summer jobs. They mean that kids get a hands-on experience into working in the real workplace. They're going to be able to be ready to go out there and work when the time comes.
Holy crap,
Mr.
this
Speaker,
is brutal.
This is a budget that I am so proud of. Housing. I mean, this budget, when I say it bridges the rural-urban divide, we also have people in rural areas that are going to get infrastructure money to build clinics,
The
to build
Liberals just
hospitals. We're seeing that this
put
budget
forward
is
their
creating
oldest
a new
person and one of their
brain
oldest people with
gain from
Alzheimer's, huh?
the United States,
Just here's the
where people
microphone,
wanting
go
to
stand
leave.
there and talk.
We're looking at researchers. We put $1.7 billion into building research. We can build strong pharmaceutical sectors here. We have the know-how. We have the innovation. We have the brains. Let us not forget that in Diabetes Week here, we must remember who gave the world insulin. There were two Canadians, Banting and Best. This is not new. We had people who won the Nobel Prize in creating chemical diabetes insulin in British Columbia. We have the brains. What we need are the people to get it going. The money has been set aside to do that. Mr. Speaker, I just want to say, you know, I remember Kinsella's book, I don't know if you remember it, Field of Dreams, and he said, build it and they will come. Well, this budget is about building it, and they are coming. Saab is here. They want to build a defense sector with us. We need to protect our Arctic. We need to work with Scandinavian countries like Sweden to help us to build a strong Arctic defense. Saab is coming. They're going to build the fighter jets. And we also have the King and Queen of Sweden coming here with 60 business and industrial people to be able to work with Canada, to build with Canada. Well, this is happening, Mr. Speaker. It's exciting. This is happening. It's going on. It's already happening. Tomorrow, the King and Queen of Sweden will be here. This is just the beginning. We're seeing China, India, we're seeing Australia helping us with defense. The world has changed, and Canada is not going to sit by and wait to see where that change goes. Canada is in this budget going to lead that change. We're going to take over, we're going to control who we are. We have already started with a good economy. We know we have got the lowest inflation right now in the economy. We see what's going on in the United States. I heard people talking about food prices the other day. Well, I think you have to pay $15 to buy a carton of eggs in the United States. I know I just bought some for $4.69 at my local supermarket. So this is something that I'm wanting to say to you. Believe in Canada. We can do it. We are a strong nation. We have the ability,
If we could have done it, we would have done it in the last 10 years, you old hag.
What we need is for people to believe that we can do it. The rest of the world is believing, Sweden, for example. And so let's move, Mr. Speaker. And I say, build it, and they will come. Thank you.
Questions and comments. Question et commentaire. The member for Langley Township, Fraser Heights.
Very good, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to thank my honourable colleague from British Columbia for her speech on the economy. I've noticed that on the budget, I've noticed that when we're talking economy, Liberals are very selective in the facts and the statistics that they like to highlight. They say, oh, our debt to GDP ratio isn't as bad as other countries, but they consistently don't mention sub-sovereign debt. So to compare apples to apples, they need to include that. Another thing that they don't like to talk about very much is our lagging productivity metrics as compared to our trading nations. This is the ability of a country to be able to service its debt and and be productive and be wealthy, they recognize it as a problem. Because in this budget, for example, it says productivity remains weak, limiting wage gains for workers. Well, Mr. Speaker, I think this is my 5th or 6th Liberal budget that I'm listening to. And every time they acknowledge that productivity is a problem, they never do anything about it. Why should Canadians believe them this time?
The member for Vancouver Centre.
You talked, the honourable member talked a little bit about why should you help us.
To the Joliette Manawan.
There you go. I don't know why I keep skipping forward. We'll figure it out.
You talked, the honourable member talked a little bit about. You talked, the honourable member talked a little bit about why should we look at productivity. Yes, Canada has lagged in productivity. And what do you do when you want to increase productivity? You train people, you skill people, you build industries, you help the industry to become, to expand.
It's annoying because we've had 10 years to do this and they haven't done it. They haven't said this. And now all of a sudden they cause a problem and they're going to offer the solution.
You help people to be skilled. That's what productivity is about. And this budget is addressing that productivity lag.
Questions and comments. Questions et commentaires. L'honorable député de Joliette Manawan.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je remercie la collègue pour son discours. Lors de la dernière campagne électorale, le gouvernement a choisi d'abolir la taxe carbone pour les particuliers, mais envoyer le chèque pour les compenser. Et les provinces comme le Québec qui ne payent pas cette taxe carbone parce qu'on a notre propre système, n'ont pas été compensés. Fait qu'au net, les contribuables du Québec, via leurs impôts et taxes qu'ils payent, ont contribué pour près de 900 millions de dollars à ce cadeau électoral-là. Est-ce que la collègue croit, comme moi et ma formation politique, que le gouvernement devrait compenser les contribuables du Québec pour ce cadeau électoral? Merci, monsieur.
L'honorable député de Vancouver Centre.
Mr. Speaker, I think this is very interesting. British Columbia didn't get any money back either. You know why? Because British Columbia had its own carbon tax. Right. It ran it themselves and it gave it back to the people in terms of social programs. So I don't understand why if a province did not participate in the national tax, carbon tax, that they should be compensated for anything. Does it make sense to you? It doesn't to me.
Again, the member's an experienced member. She knows to address her comments through the chair.
Sorry, he was asking you?
I have a lot of opinions, but I won't be sharing them. Question et commentaire. L'honorable député de Bourassa.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur le Président. J'aimerais tout simplement dire que l'avenir ne se subit pas, il se bâtit. Et j'aimerais bien poser la question à ma collègue, puis leur dire, il faut encore, c'est quoi bâtir dans ce budget? Est-ce que c'est un investissement où on bâtit vraiment des immeubles ou on bâtit aussi l'avenir des Canadiens et des Canadiennes? Mais quand on va parler de ces budgets vraiment au niveau de l'infrastructure, est-ce qu'elle peut nous expliquer comment ça vient également aider pour trouver des emplois, mais également trouver vraiment des emplois récurrents après avoir bâti des infrastructures? Merci, Madame, Monsieur le Président.
L'honorable député de Vancouver Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Building isn't just about building houses. It's not just about building housing units. It is about building industries, about building manufacturing sectors. It's about building skills of workers. It's about creating workers. This is a visionary budget. Let's make no bones about it. This is a budget that is looking straight down the road to a strong future for Canada. And this is a kind of building, expanding the Port of Vancouver, building Churchill Port, expanding airports, building in small rural areas all the transmission grids, electricity grids that they need. This is what this budget is all about. That's what we said build. And I keep saying build it, and they will come, and they're coming.
Here, here. Resuming debate. Reprise de débat. And I will invite the member for Milton East, Halton Hills South to take the floor, and she'll have about 7 minutes before she's interrupted. The honourable member.
Thanks very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise today on behalf of the good people of Milton East, Halton Hills South to bring reflections on our government's 2025 budget, a budget that lays the blueprint to address a new paradigm of economic development, nation building, and generational investment. This is a budget that believes in Canada. This budget is historic, and it comes at an historic time. But it's also a time of challenges. We know that Canada is grappling with recent economic hardships as a result of the unfair tariffs the United States has thrust upon us. These tariffs have contributed to a global disruption of economic conventions and unaffordability around the world.
It's
And it's not
America's
just a Canadian
fault.
problem. In fact, we saw recently that unaffordability in the U.S. is so critical that the American president has actually reversed course on his prized tariff policy, reversing tariffs on some food items that Americans struggle to afford and still do. But Canadians know that times of challenge are also times of opportunity. Now is the time for us to reevaluate and recommit to our own destiny. We don't need to rely on anyone to be prosperous. We have much of what we need right here. An educated, hardworking, patriotic population, vast natural resources that the world wants, and a philosophy of cooperation, quality, and responsibility that makes us a desired partner for trade, investment, and collaboration the world over. The broad shifting tides of the global economic landscape are being felt in the daily lives of Canadians. As a government, it's our duty to address this. Our 2025 budget is the foundation of our answer to this challenge. Here in the People's House, we hear it all. We feel it. Affordability, housing, employment, our young people, crime, all need and deserve our collective attention. It is the right of every Canadian to feel secure in their daily needs and endeavors. We understand the importance of investing in resources for a safer community, and that is why Budget 2025 will invest $1.7 billion over 4 years into public safety and border security by hiring 1,000 new RCMP officers and 1,000 new border security agents. And safety in our communities is also top of mind. By investing in law enforcement and justice reform, we will tackle organized crime, gun violence, auto theft, and many other crimes. Safety is the first pillar of prosperity. Mr. Speaker, I have 4 young adult children. As a mother, their struggles are my struggles. Youth unemployment rates are not acceptable. $594 million over the next 2 years will develop 100,000 summer jobs under our Canada Summer Jobs program. Investing over $300 million over 2 years in our youth
Indian
employment
immigrants are
and
gonna be getting
skills
those
strategy will
jobs.
provide employment and support
Nice,
to
kids.
20,000 young people facing employment barriers. And we will create 55,000 work-integrated learning opportunities for post-secondary students by investing $635 million to our student work placement program. This government has also committed $40 million to create a youth climate corps that will provide a paid skill training to young Canadians to quickly respond to environmental emergencies, support recovery, and create a resilient Canada for years to come. And hand in hand with employment is the pride and accomplishment of a home to call one's own. We have been facing a steep housing supply gap. To combat this, our government has allotted $13 billion over 5 years to our Build Canada Homes initiative, supercharging the housing industry and catalyzing private sector partnerships to build homes at a rate unseen since the post-war period. We will also expand transitional supportive housing for the most vulnerable among us, working with our provinces, territories, municipalities, and Indigenous communities. And in the short term, we're providing relief by bringing down house purchase costs through our elimination of the GST for first-time homebuyers, allowing them to recover up to $50,000 of GST paid towards a new home, money that will go directly back into their pockets. We are also protecting existing affordable housing through launching the $1.5 billion Canada Rental Protection Fund under Build Canada Homes to ensure that affordable rent is not being lost to increases. To provide quick relief to nearly 22 million Canadians, our government has implemented a middle-class tax cut aimed to specifically target Canadians in the lower and middle tax brackets. In hand with this, our government is transitioning to automated federal benefits for Canadians through simplifying federal tax returns. This will result in approximately 5.5 million Canadians receiving the benefits they are entitled to, but are not currently collecting simply because they are not filing tax returns. These benefits belong to the people, and our government is removing obstacles so the people can benefit. Canadians are not afraid of hard work, and this government is implementing a new reskilling package for workers. By providing $570 million, we will support training and employment assistance to workers who have been affected by tariffs and global market shifts. Guaranteed in our charter is security of the person, and this is a foundational tenet in Canada's healthcare system, a system that is envied the world over and that every Canadian can look to with pride. This government will invest $5 billion over 3 years to our dedicated Health Infrastructure Fund. We recognize that hospitals, urgent care centres, emergency rooms, and medical schools need to be at the forefront of investment to serve Canadians. In my riding of Milton East, Halton Hills South, plans are underway for a brand new hospital in Georgetown and a palliative care hospice, each facing significant capital costs. Budget 2025's health infrastructure proposal is the type of plan that will support such projects. Our municipalities and our people need this support. My history as a municipal councillor in Milton gives me an insightful perspective in this sphere. So much of our municipal planning depends on investing in core public infrastructure. Municipalities have limited ways to raise revenue and cannot run budget deficits, yet are burdened with increasing responsibilities, typically without the corresponding financial support. I am so proud to stand up for this budget, which commits $54 billion to create core public infrastructure over the next 5 years through our Build Communities Strong Fund. This infrastructure is imperative to support municipalities as they work to facilitate home building in our communities. Of course, with development, we must be mindful of our impact on our natural environment. Our budget outlines the path to supporting a green future while providing prosperity by becoming an energy superpower in both clean and conventional energy. Our Prime Minister has been clear. Canada's new government will spend less so we can invest more. At a time when Canadians are facing economic pressures in their daily lives, this government recognizes its duties in solidarity with all Canadians. That's why this budget demands $60 billion in savings, and we've done this while still protecting the vital services that Canadians rely on: childcare, dental care, pharmacare, and our national school food program. Mr. Speaker, I'm so proud to be a Canadian and a member of a government that is unafraid of taking bold action and meeting challenges head-on.
Comme il est 18h15, il est de mon devoir d'interrompre les délibérations et de mettre aux voix sur le champ toute question nécessaire pour disposer de la motion des voix et moyens numéro 2. La question est la suivante. M. Champagne, appuyé par M. Carney, propose que la Chambre approuve la politique budgétaire générale du gouvernement. If a member participating in person wishes that the motion be carried or carried on division, or if a member of a recognized party participating in person wishes to request a recorded division, I would invite them to rise and indicate it to the chair.
Oh, shit. Something's happening.
Well, I'd love to carry it on division, but I have a sense that there's a desire for recorded division, Mr. Speaker.
Then call in the members.
Oh, shit. Something's happening. There you go. Vote call in 29 minutes. Holy smokes, man. So, let me know down in the comments which way you guys think this is going. Actually, I'm going to do a poll down in the comments for everyone. Where's the live stream? Here it is. The last poll did pretty good. And poll, lots of votes. Let me strike up a new poll here. Will the budget pass or fail? Will the budget pass? Yes or no? Down in the comments. So we're in the last 30-minute countdown now. So we're going to have more answers in the next 30 minutes, I guess. That's what that's saying. So we're stuck with each other for that long. Okay. This is pretty exciting because we're going to find out what exactly each party stands for right now, right? I think that it's possible that the NDP abstain from voting, at least the interim leader of the NDP, because I don't think that they're fully certain on which way they want to vote and the outcome that that's going to actually have on Canada, because like an election is expensive. It's like a few $1 million. Not to mention, they don't have any money, the NDP, and so I don't think they want to be responsible for an election being triggered, and they don't want to be responsible for the budget succeeding. So they're probably going to abstain, is my guess. But let's take a look here at the CTV panel and what they have to say.
I'm is probably going to be the most significant because there is an additional MP from the opposition today who has announced they will be supporting the budget, and that is Green Party leader Elizabeth May. Take a listen.
I'm going to vote yes for the country, for the planet, and for my hope in the future. The Liberals can't count on me voting confidence in the government again without delivering on the words I heard.
All right, we've got a ton to unpack there, and who better to do that than a special edition of the Strategy Session. Scott Reid is a CTV News political analyst and former communications director to Prime Minister Paul Martin. Corey Teneycke was Ontario Premier Doug Ford's campaign manager and former director of communications for Prime Minister Stephen Harper. And Kathleen Monk is a former NDP strategist and director of communications to the late Jack Layton. Hi, everyone, on this Monday. Scott, I'll start with you. Elizabeth May says there's enough in this now, enough from the Prime Minister today that she could support the budget, which means we're just a few abstentions away from it going ahead. If you were to put some money on it, what would you guess happens?
Like, I'd bet all of Corey's money, and that's no small sum, that the budget will pass. We might get the full thrill of a tied vote. I mean, the NDP, if they do a couple of abstentions, they may be so strategic, they may do it so precisely that they might literally take this to a tie. Then the Speaker would have to bust the tie and continue the Parliament. So I think it's going to be dramatic. I think it's going to be fun to watch. But I think ultimately the budget's going to pass. Parliament will live. We will not be subjected to a Christmas election. And fun fact, although it can't happen by law, if the Prime Minister was to call an election on Wednesday, technically 37 days would be Christmas Day. What better way to celebrate your friends and family than by casting a ballot?
It's what we all are asking
Happy birthday
for,
to me,
I'm
huh?
sure.
No.
Corey, what does your gut tell you about how this plays out?
I think there'll be some abstentions, and we won't have an election campaign. That's my guess. But boy, this isn't as exciting as the Grey Cup game yesterday because we don't fully know how it's going to turn out. I think that's the most likely outcome. But the last time we were through something like this with the Clark government, everyone in Ottawa thought the budget was going to pass, and then it didn't. So, surprises are a surprise because you don't see them coming. So, I will be watching anxiously when the vote occurs.
Yeah, it's a good warning, Kathleen, because I think we have a sense of where things could go, but Corey's absolutely right. You do never know. When you are in a minority position, you do need additional support or a certain number of abstentions. Now with Elizabeth May kind of outlining what she is going to do, I think attention necessarily shifts to the NDP. What are you going to be watching for?
Yeah, and there's been a lot of attention on the NDP because a lot of the framing around this budget vote, the story has been that the NDP is leaderless, dollarless, and can't afford to go into an election. But actually, I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes, a lot more horse trading that's happening among all the parties. And it's not clear to me even if the Conservatives actually will all in fact show up and vote against this budget. And their abstentions could mean that New Democrats could full-throatedly vote against this budget. Listen, it has been known and characterized as sometimes a mercurial caucus at times, and there is an eagerness of New Democrats to vote against Carney's cuts that he's making and the lack of investment in certain areas, and certainly the job cuts that are coming to public service, among other things. But there have been things put on the table that are also attractive to New Democrats. But I think what I'm watching for the most, Vashi, is how the leaders, whether it's Pierre Poilievre, whether it's Don Davies, or even how we heard Elizabeth May earlier in the day, frame up their decision. And I think that, Elizabeth May basically got her vote bought by the Carney Liberals today for the privilege of asking one question in the House of Commons and getting some vague commitments to the Paris objectives, that they'll try harder. I think that if you're going to actually vote for this budget, you should eke out real measures from this Carney government. And if you don't get those new measures, I think it's fair to abstain because most Canadians don't want an election right now. So it's fair to say, hey, we're going to let this one go. We don't like the budget, but we're not going to vote actively against it because nobody wants, except Scott Reid, to have a Christmas election.
What position in that vein, Scott, our number one champion of a Christmas election, what position do you think is most tenable to Canadians? Because I know we always look at it from a strategic perspective, but ultimately, I think Canadians are fairly tuned in right now to what's happening as well.
To a degree, but I think Canadians would be shocked, as we all would be, if.
By the way, I'm down for the election. Let's do it. I'll go vote. I'll tell all my friends and family to vote. You already have a lot of anger, a lot of resentment towards Mark Carney for what he's doing and also failing to do for Canada and Canadians, right? He's literally regressing, going backwards with trade negotiations with America. I mean, it's significantly getting worse. You saw him at the CFL Canadian Grey Cup Super Bowl, Snow Mexico, whatever the hell, the Grey Cup. That's what it's called. You saw him there get booed, right? Like, people don't like him. So let's go to the polls and let's make it happen. I really don't respect right now a person who considers himself conservative, who is very much against an election happening right now for strategic reasons. Stand on your principle, push your head up high, puff up your chest, and remind yourself that Carney is exactly like Justin Trudeau, and we have to educate the public, and we stand on conviction. We stand on our principles. We have to oppose the government. That's what the Conservatives' job really is. Are you happy with the Liberal government right now? If the answer is no, then let's hope that the budget fails so that we can go to another election.
This thing went sideways. And Corey's right. Weird things can happen. I mean, if you're literally counting it down to a tie, somebody falls on a stapler or something, you could get a crazy outcome. But I don't think Canadians expect an election. I don't actually think they're glued to their television watching this count. So if there was to be an election, I think there would be a large expression of outrage across the country. And that's really why Liz May is saying, despite almost nothing in this budget being in concert with where she would want federal public policy going, she's saying, look, ask me. I get one question, I get whatever, I get a free Snickers bar, like whatever it takes, because she knows the Canadians don't want an election, and that's ultimately why this budget will pass. Nobody wants to pull it.
There's so much hypocrisy right now in the conservative space on like social media, right? You've got the party realizing and acknowledging that the media is attacking Pierre Poilievre. And these same people, right, that are realizing that Pierre Poilievre is being attacked by the mainstream media, look at all the money that the CBC is putting into attacking Pierre Poilievre. These are the same people that don't trust the media, that don't trust the polls. I think it's fishy. And whatever the media says, then the truth is literally the opposite. So if that's the case, shut your ass up, get ready to vote. It's that simple. If the media is saying Pierre Poilievre is going to lose an election and that this isn't good, then let's stay true by what we've literally agreed since Trudeau got up and started talking about COVID. Oh, the media's full of shit. They're full of shit. And what they're saying, the truth is on the other side. So if they're attacking Pierre, well, then it's probably because Pierre is in a good chance of potentially winning or taking more seats from the Liberals. So let's go. If they're saying that Pierre's going to lose, when have we ever believed the media anyways, the mainstream media? If it's CBC saying it and these weirdo analysts, when have we ever believed them? What's the hesitancy right now? This is what I don't get about the conservative circles, is either you're all in or you're not in at all. People have been all in and all of a sudden, well, now's not the time. Don't be a pussy. Let's go. Do the election. Either you stand strong on conservative beliefs, either you believe in what you're preaching, what you're saying, your values, and you stand firm on conservative values. Then you run with that till the very end and you keep going. You don't just hesitate, you go. And now's the time. We should be encouraging the budget to fail so we can have an election.
The trigger on this and be blamed for doing so.
It's interesting because in the lead up, Corey, like especially over the last week, you've heard parties talk less and less about the prospect of an election. Like there has not been an overabundance of pre-positioning. When it comes to the Conservatives, obviously, and we've talked about this on a couple of occasions, this whole budget vote process has happened in concert with some, big events for them as well. Do you think it matters if Matt Jeneroux abstains from tonight's vote?
Well, it could matter, right? So the Liberals have gained 2 votes, Elizabeth May and D'Outremont. So you're talking about like a party of 6 people for the NDP. When, if you assume that the contestant running for leadership of the party is going to vote against, and the person who's the interim leader is going to vote against, you basically need 50% of the remaining part of their caucus to abstain in order to get there.
Again, strategically thinking, right? It's going to be in January, like the coldest month across all of Canada. Sure, the Vancouver Island on the West Coast probably has a little bit more rain than usual, maybe a little bit of frost, okay? But the rest of Canada is getting a shit ton of snow. And let me remind you, the people that are more willing to stand on their own 2 feet, on their principles, on their belief system, through good weather and bad weather, is that Liberals or is that Conservatives? It's Conservatives. So right there, we have an advantage from geographical standpoint that the Liberals are going to go, it's too cold. It's too cold. Perfect. Stay indoors. Little bitch, let's go to the polls. Put on a toque, put on a couple jackets. Let's go to the polls. Like, what are you worried about? It wasn't Liberals that stood out in the freezing cold for the Freedom Convoy. It was Conservatives, conservative supporters, people that were opposing the government. Let's do it again, but instead of a protest, let's go and have a fucking election in that same environment. Like, what are you so afraid of? These Liberals are going to be all triple bundled up. They're going to spill their mocha cappuccino freaking pumpkin spice latte on themselves. Oh, I got to burn. And they're going to go back home. They're not going to make it to the polls. Come on, guys, wake up.
And I heard what Kathleen said about, getting something concrete. Well, how well did that work for the NDP during the Trudeau years? I would say it worked pretty disastrously badly for them. And so I could see if I were a part of that caucus, I would be, wondering what exactly has to be in that budget to have me vote for it, and think that that's going to save my bacon when it comes to going to the electorate. It's probably easier, just given the size of their caucus, for the Conservatives to have some people to abstain, because it's such a tiny percentage of what their actual caucus is. It's probably easier to play that off. But, I haven't seen a lot of signs of the Conservatives not wanting an election. I've seen kind of a lot of the opposite. I think, if they could go back in time and relitigate the last one again, I think they would, if you look at what their positioning has been. So, it still feels like this is more of an act of faith as to what's going to happen on this vote than it is, anyone having counted noses and having certainty about it.
Yeah, it doesn't feel certain. That's a good point. Kathleen, what do you think about what Corey just said?
Yeah, a couple things. First of all, I won't debate at length, but I'll argue with Corey anytime about the impact that Democrats made in terms of, establishing the dental care program and childcare, you name it. I can go on at length, but I'll put that aside and actually go back to the question you asked him, and I'll answer it directly. What difference will it make if Matt Ginereau actually abstains? They only need 2 abstentions for the budget to pass now with Elizabeth May's pro vote. So, but symbolically, so whether it means a lot or not, if Ginereau is one of the 2 abstainers, it does matter a lot symbolically to the Conservatives, because then it does show, even though he, according to Pierre Poilievre, is still part of the Conservative caucus, he's not willing to vote along caucus lines. Conversely, if he does vote with the Conservatives, there's more strength, frankly, to Pierre Poilievre's comments that he's staying within a caucus. So I would watch for the Ginereau vote where that goes. Also, any other Conservatives that don't happen to show up or abstain from that vote. Equally, you could look at the Liberals, where they're falling. I think Nate Erskine-Smith will, in fact, vote for the Liberal budget, but will they all vote? Yes, that's something to look for. And just lastly, to comment to Scott's point, I would just say it's about the framing. And the problem is that, no, Scott, Elizabeth May said she's voting in favor of this budget because she got a promise from Prime Minister Carney to meet the Paris objectives. He just said he's going to try hard. She's getting literally nothing. So a better framing of why you're voting, either abstaining or voting, for this budget potentially is because, in fact, you don't want Canadians to be thrust into a Christmas election. That's foolish. That is not the time. In fact, Stephen Harper did the same thing in 2005 when he had the largest all-caucus abstention, of 98 of his members in 2005. So there's precedent for this. Other people have done this when we don't want to trigger an election right now.
But they're saying they won't, right? but no one's saying they're going to do that. I guess that's the difference. If you want to go back to 2005, there's clearly a decision by the Conservatives at the time to have not just an abstention but a massive abstention,
a whipped abstention.
So
I remember May 19th, 2005, when there was a tied vote and the Speaker had to break the tie. It was white knuckle time. So
and we very well could be facing that again right now. We could white knuckle it. We could end up seeing the Speaker have to break the tying vote. I don't know. It's gonna be very interesting though, and we're gonna have more answers in about 12 minutes or 11 minutes.
Those circumstances, we end up with a tie in the House of Commons, then the Speaker casts a tie-breaking vote to save the government and vote in favor of the status quo, a scenario that would save the government, but one the Liberals say they would very much like to avoid and not have the Speaker have to do that. So Rosemary is standing by. I'm also joined by Rick Bell, who is a columnist with Post Media. Rob Benzie is the Toronto Star's Queen's Park Bureau Chief. And we're also going to get Stephanie Levitz, who's a senior parliamentary reporter for the Globe and Mail. She's standing by. We're going to get her into the chair next to Rosemary so she can be part of this conversation. Rick, as we watch that Liberal government, I think the last time you were on the show 2 weeks ago, you were predicting to be a majority government, so you must be excited at the possibility of an election. Am I reading that right?
Please don't.
I left you speechless, Rick. I can't believe it.
I don't want to have to go back to work and write a column right away. I mean, there's a lot of, anxiety, excitement, fury, sound and fury, but it may signify nothing if I may quote Shakespeare on this show. So I guess it's interesting as I just cannot believe that this will not go through. I just cannot see the logic that would, but is politics always logical? Right. No, but I could not see the logic of there being an election.
Okay, so
as a result of that, even with the poison pills, even with it's not perfect, it's not this, it's not that, and I have a lot of objections personally to this budget, but I just do not, I think overriding that is whoever triggers this election could basically trigger something that they don't want, the old boomerang effect, and could back and hit them.
Benzie, do you see it that way? I mean, the Rick Bell decision desk seems to think that this is going to pass.
Yes.
But, who knows? Like, as Rosie said, there are 3 Liberals voting remotely, and technology is what technology is. I mean, Michael Chong says that's one of the reasons he wasn't able to vote last week or the week before.
Yeah, right.
I mean, two weeks ago.
Their staffers can vote for them.
We're 9 minutes and 10 seconds away from the voting.
David, I think Rick makes a very good point that this could boomerang, and this is nobody wants an election. The Conservatives who are voting against this budget don't want an election. The Blockists don't want an election. They may want people to think they want an election or that they oppose the budget. That's fair enough. They're opposition parties, but I don't think anyone is particularly ready for an election. We've just had a break week. MPs were in their ridings. I can't imagine too many of them heard from constituents, gosh, you got to have another election, especially here in Ontario. We had a provincial election in February, a federal election in April, and we have a new prime minister. I think a lot of people want to see what he can do. If you defeat the government at the first opportunity, you may be wearing that. So the election, if we are triggered into election later tonight, David, I expect the first week or 2 weeks of the campaign to be dominated about why are we having an election when we're in the middle of a trade war with the United States. We have an existential threat from the states. We have a budget that did appease different regions of the country, talking about major projects.
What a stupid fucking point. The Conservatives have been saying the same thing. Carney can't do it. Look at what he's done. It's all backwards. The Bloc has said the exact same thing. And in fact, the NDP has also said the goddamn same thing. So by that premise, the political parties unanimously agree, minus the dopey drunk Elizabeth May, who did whatever she did tonight, which is absolutely weird. The political parties all agree that look, man, you're not really doing much. Like, this isn't good. You're spending. You're putting us in severe debt more than ever in the middle of a trade war. That's not good. That's actually fucking bad. We shouldn't be going into massive debt. Yeah, we shouldn't be investing in ourselves, but not massive debt, not $80 freaking billion in 1 year. So yeah, people want an election. This is insane. At the first turn, don't let the budget pass. Stop it, please.
What 2 New Democrats could abstain? What's the latest intel you have on what's going to happen?
Yeah, I think the abstention piece is really interesting, right? Because I don't mean to, bore the viewers with parliamentary procedure, but in the House of Commons, an abstention is not a thing. It's very difficult to stand up and say, I abstain on principle. Right. If you use the app, though, David, the app, you can press a button that says you can deliberately abstain. And I find that really interesting because I think that it allows for either it'll be obvious to those of us watching online, like, did someone actually abstain or did they trip and drop their phone down the toilet at the very last minute? Like,
which happened a lot during COVID. We did see some weird logins. But Stefan, that with Elizabeth May voting yes, they need either one more to vote yes from the opposition. Tough to see that at this point, or 2 abstentions, I think, at this point is where we are, right?
Yeah, I mean, the math is, like the Prime Minister said, they've got to do some math. I still, to this hour, find it remarkable that has the Prime Minister done the math? Like, he must be certain, or is he not certain? I don't know. I find that interesting. I find it interesting that if, let's say, the New Democrats had made up their mind, had decided what to do, they did not come out at 1 o'clock this afternoon like Liz May did, or 3:30, and say, okay, here is our choice. We're deliberately being left on a cliffhanger, and I wonder what is the ultimate end game there for everybody, but 2, let's recall, this isn't the first confidence vote we're going to have, like the last, rather.
No. Yeah.
Right?
The budget's a big one, though.
The budget's a big, it is, but we're going to have a budget implementation bill and other confidence motions, and are we setting up for this every time? I don't know.
Well, there wasn't a lot of drama, Rosie, around the amendment and the sub-amendment to the budgets, right? Because I think, the Bloc, both the Conservatives and the Bloc put forward separate amendments saying the government should fall, and then they each voted against the other's amendment because of the way this town works. But this one is a little bit different. I don't know if the next confidence vote would rise to this, but who knows, right? I mean, we don't know what we're in for, and that's the nature of minority parliaments like this.
I mean, I suppose if Elizabeth May doesn't feel the government's doing the right thing, she could change her mind. Who knows? There's all sorts of scenarios here. I think this is probably the most dramatic of the moments for now, because it is the first moment when Canadians are paying attention, and maybe in a real way, and are observing what their elected officials are choosing to do in this moment. And I don't think that is a small thing. I'm not saying people are sitting around their dinner table watching us and talking about this. I don't think that's what's going to happen.
Literally,
but
they are.
I do think that they would certainly notice if they were forced into an election, and they would certainly notice who did that. I will say, from being here, though, I've covered other elections where the first week and 10 days was about who caused this.
This is the thing. This right here is scaring conservative circles and conservative supporters. When have you ever, as a conservative in the last 5 years, trusted what the mainstream media tells you? And they're saying, whoever calls it, whoever votes against the budget, you're not going to win. It's going to be horrible. When have you ever trusted these people? Now all of a sudden there's fear from what they're saying because it's valid? Give me a break, man. Either it's government funded propaganda or it's not. I don't trust this at all. Canadians want an election.
There to reporters was looking good. So either he was complimenting the reporters on how they looked tonight, or he feels pretty good about the chances of this vote passing. Rick, I mean, what do you draw from that 2-phrase recitation from the Prime Minister?
Well, looking good. I mean, what's interesting out here is, of course, there's negotiations which are going to the supposedly are close to being completed between the federal government of Alberta on a pipeline and or some discussion about these laws, 9 bad laws that Danielle Smith wants amended or changed. So there's an added little wrinkle out here in Alberta is that people are wondering, well, what, if there were to be an election, what would happen to all of that? Because even today, Premier Smith was asked about it, and she gave the impression again today that memorandum of understanding between the Carney government and the Smith government is very, very close, like could be within the next day or two. So that's another little wrinkle here, adding to the uncertainty that is out there across the country. This is an added uncertainty in Alberta as to what would happen then.
Okay, Premier Smith did speak there. I didn't hear that, so that's good to know, Rick. But Rick, I just got to ask you, And we only got 2 minutes and 40 seconds before we got to look at the vote. If the Conservatives don't vote 100% no, what are the consequences of that? Does that upset people in the base? Is there a downside to the Conservatives not getting everybody on board to vote against this?
Well, I think there are some people who are thinking, let's say, looking at the big picture and saying this is probably not the time, as much as they do not want Carney to be the prime minister, this is not the time to have an election. So there is, that sizable group of people. Yeah. But there are also other people who just want Carney out. It doesn't matter. Just get rid of him, get him out of there. We want another chance. Maybe Pierre will work some magic somehow, and he'll become prime minister. So I think there are people within the Conservative base who are thinking about this strategically and saying, we don't want an election now because it could backfire on us. But I think there is another group that really just is still stinging from the fact that Conservatives didn't win, and the Liberals are still there, albeit with a different prime minister, and just want them defeated. So those people are not going to be happy until Carney and the Liberals are gone.
Okay, we're going to re-rack the prime minister's arrival there, and just so you can hear for yourself. Don't take my word for it. Here's Mark Carney himself with the looking good as he walks into Parliament.
Do you have the votes, Prime Minister? Yep.
Looking good.
You got it? Got the votes?
Okay, Benzi, the election bus looks good. The vote looks good. I mean, what are your thoughts as the Prime Minister goes in? That doesn't look like a guy who's worried about his first budget failing.
No, it doesn't, David. And, Rick was speaking about Premier Smith. I was speaking to Premier Doug Ford today, and he's the most powerful Conservative in the country, and he said that he wants this budget to pass. He thinks it's too important a time to be messing around, and he said the budget's not perfect, but there are things in the budget that that the Ontario government would like to see implemented. I think, to Rick's point, the Alberta government would like to see some of the things implemented, and some of the things that aren't mentioned specifically in the budget that are coming down the pipe, so to speak, down the pipe. Right. But I think I
shut up, nerd. Either you're all in or you're all out when it comes to this. And right now, I think that the Conservatives have a real opportunity to show Canadians, to prove to Canadians that they can actually stand on their principles. We're going to see. We're just moments away now. Moments away. Let's see what happens, huh? Holy smokes. Hey, if you guys haven't yet already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, would you? It's free to do, helps out, helps fight climate change for all I care. There's no sound. Don't worry. You're not missing anything right now. We're just waiting for them to open up the feed. Here we go.
Champagne, appuyé par M. Carney, propose que la Chambre approuve la politique budgétaire générale du gouvernement. The 10-minute period for members voting electronically has started, and the House will now proceed to the vote for members participating in person. All those in favor of the motion will please rise.
Mr. Carney.
So these are the
Mr.
A's.
McDonald Malpeque.
Shit, so we're gonna know
Mr.
right off the hop.
McGinty. Mr. Lightbound. Mr. Robertson. Ms. DeBrussen. Monsieur Leblanc. Madame Joly. Monsieur McKinnon-Gatineau. Monsieur Champagne. Ms. Thompson. Mr. Hodgson. Mr. Ananda-Sangari. Ms. Haidu. Madame Michel. Monsieur Guilbeault. Mr. Fraser. Mr. Sidhu Brampton East. Mrs. Oshelski. Mr. Solomon. Mrs. Valdez. Monsieur Duclos. Ms. Gould. Madame Petitpas-Taylor. Mr. Blair. Mr. Wilkinson. Ms. Fry.
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Chager. Mr.
So the
Osborne.
Liberals
Mr. Fragaskatos. Mr. Fuhr. Mr. Vancouverden.
So far,
Ms.
it's all the
Gainey.
Liberals.
Madame Provost. Ms. Sahota. Mr. Belanger, Desnete, Mississippi Churchill River.
The hell does that mean?
Ms. McKnight. Ms. Chartrand. Mr. Garrettson. Ms. Anand. Ms. Alty. Ms. Gullmasty. Mr. Sarai. Ms. McLean, Esquimalt Sandwich Soup. Mr. Long. Mr. Zaricelli. Madame Chanette. Ms. Latanzio. Mr. Nakvi. Mr. Housefather. Mr. Nur Mohammed.
So right now, the bloc
Madame
has started voting
Mr.
electronically, and they're voting nay.
Ms. Jacek. Mr. Beach. Ms. Scroll.
One
Mr.
NDP MP voted nay.
Mr. Erskine Smith. Mr. Fisher. Mr. Dhaliwal. Madame Chatel. Mrs. Romanato.
So these are some
Mr. Lewis
NDPs.
Kitchener-Conestoga.
Yep.
Mr.
These are
Assassi. Mr. Grant.
So these are
Mr.
some
Letao. Mr. Bardizi. Madame Kayabaga.
One NDP MP has already
Mr.
voted
Lamoudeur.
nay
Madame
electronically.
Brière. Mr.
By the way.
Turnbull. Mr. Kellaway. Mr. Gay. Mr. Hogan. Madame Koutrakis. Ms. Chi. Mr. Miles. Mr. Biddle. Mr. Cormier. Ms. Dillon. Ms. Zerowitz. Mr. El Khoury. Mr. Fergus. Mr. Fonseca. Mr. Yacono. Ms. Khalid. Mr. Lauzon. Mr. Maloney. Ms. Suds. Madame Desrochers. Ms. McKelvey. Mr. Gasparo. Mr. Hanley. Madame Rochefort. Mr. Casey. Mr. Blois. Madame Bendayan. Madame Fortier. Mr. Oliphant. Mr. Baptiste. Mr. Clausen. Madame Lavac. Mr. Ramsey. Ms. Church. Mr. McKinnon, Coquitlam, Port Coquitlam. Mr. Morrissey. Mr. Shifke. Mr. Sheehan. Ms. Sidhu Brampton South. Ms. Vandenbeld. Mrs. Zaid. Ms. Yip.
You never know.
Mr.
We
Baker.
could be throwing a curveball
Mr.
here.
D'Entremont. Madame Lalonde. Mr. Pulowski. Mr. Weiler. Mr. Zuberi.
It's a lot of liberals.
Mr. Eolfson. Madame Lapointe, Rivière de Mille-Îles. Mr.
Oh, shit.
Baines. Mr. Coteau. Mr. Gahir. Ms. Hefner. Madame Lapointe, Sudbury. Mr. Souza. Mr. Carr. Ms. Akan. Mr. Al Saoud. Madame Auguste. Mr. Chang. Mr. Clark. Mr. Connors. Madame Dandurand. Mr. Danko. Monsieur Deschaines Thériault. Mr. Earl. Madame Mendez. Ms. Fancy. Mr. Fanjoy. Mr. Greaves. Ms. Harrison. Ms. Hurdle. Mr. Joseph. Mr. Lavoie. Mr. McDonald Cardigan. Mr. Millette Bay of Quinty. Ms. Miedema. Madame Mingarelli. Ms. Nathan. Ms. Wien. Mr. Tumba. Ms. O'Rourke. Mr. Rana. Ms. Royer. Mr. Saini. Mr. Sari. Mr. Sawatsky. Ms. Sodi. Mr. Saint-Pierre. Ms. Tesser Dirksen. Mr. Villeneuve. Mr. Watchorn. Ms. May.
Elizabeth May. Boo.
qui s'oppose?
All those
Tous ceux qui
against.
s'opposent à la motion, veuillent bien se lever.
Mr. Polyev. Mr. Doherty. Mr. Schmale. Mr. Brock. Mr. Bazan. Mrs. Block. Mrs. Thomas. Mr. Deltel. Mr. Paulus. Mr.
Yeah, I mean,
Upal.
predictable, right? All the
Ms.
conservatives are standing up.
Mr.
That's good, that's good, that's
Halland.
good.
Ms. Lewis Haldeman Norfolk. Ms. Dancho. Mr. Chong. Mr. Seaback. Mr. Barrett. Mr. Chambers. Mr. Albus. Mr. Lake. Mr. Richards. Mr. Aitchison. Mr. Small. Mr. Mazer. Mr. Jennings. Mr. Brassard. Mr. Duncan.
I think the
Mr.
NDP should have
Workington.
stood up.
Mrs. Cramp-Nyman. Mr. Kana. Mrs. Roberts. Mr. Morin. Mr. Ross.
The NDP didn't stand
Madame
up.
Vien. Monsieur Godin. Monsieur Martel. Ms. Rumpel Garner. Mr. Cooper. Mr. Lloyd. Mr. Lawrence. Mr. Van Popta. Mr. Kelly. Mr. Généreux. Mr. Gould. Mr. Viss. Mr. Tucker. Mr. Steinley. Mr. Zimmer. Mr. Lobb. Mr. Baldinelli. Mr. Davidson. Mr. Malillo. Mr. Calkins. Mr. Reddicock. Mr. Muse. Mr. Waugh. Ms. Rude. Mr. Ho. Mrs. Falk, Battleford, Lloydminster, Meadow Lake. Ms. Gladue. Mr. Majumdar. Mrs. Goodrich. Mr. Shipley. Mr. Bragdon. Mr. Tolmie. Monsieur Lefebvre. Mr. Arnold. Mrs. Gallant. Mr. Allison. Mr. Vierson. Mr. Epp. Mr. Williamson. Mr. Falk Provencher. Mr. Diot. Mr. McCulley. Mr. Menegakis. Mrs. Wagenthal. Mrs. Jensen. Mr. Abultaif. Mr. Motz.
Yeah, so Block's voting against.
Dalton. Mr. Dowdle. Mr. Cram. Mr. Morrison. Mr. Patzer.
This is stressful, man. It's pretty
Mr.
close
Leslie.
so far.
Mr. Giovanni. Mr. Anderson. Mrs. Anstey. Mr. Au. Mr. Babber. Mr. Bailey. Mr. Bélanger, Sudbury Est, Manitoulin, Nickelbelt. Mr. Bexty. Mr. Bonk. Mrs. Borelli. Ms. Kobenia. Mrs. Cody. Mr. Davies, Vancouver South. Niagara South.
Mr. Davies, Niagara South.
Mr. Dawson. Mrs. DeRitter. Mr. Gill, Calgary Skyview. Mr. Gill, Brampton West.
Mr.
Gill, Calgary McKnight. Mr. Gill, Windsor West.
So one NDP
Mr.
guy
Mr.
voted
Gill,
nay,
Abbotsford, South Langley.
but everyone else from the NDP
Mr.
stayed silent.
Mr. Guglielmin. Mr. Gunn. Mr. Aldi. Mr. Holman. Mr. Jackson. Mr. Kibble. Ms. Kirkland. Mrs. Conans. Ms. Cronus. Mr. Couric. Mr. Lawton. Mr. Ma. Mr.
Block is voting no
Mahal.
now.
Mr. Mantle. Mr. McKenzie. Mr. Reynolds. Mr. Stevenson. Monsieur Blanchet. Monsieur Garon. Madame Normandin. Monsieur Brunel Duceppe. Monsieur Simard. Monsieur Fortin. Monsieur Thériault. Monsieur Champoux. Monsieur
Now's the
Perron.
time.
Monsieur Bonin. Monsieur
NDP's
Savard-Tremblay.
voting nay.
Monsieur Sainte-Marie. Madame Larouche. Madame de Bellefeuille. Madame Gaudreau. Monsieur Beaulieu. Monsieur Blanchette-Jonca. Monsieur Lemire.
Holy shit, fuck!
Mr. Davies, Vancouver Kingsway.
Fuck everybody!
Miss McPherson. Ms. Kwan.
The fucking NDP's voting nay! Holy shit fuck. The conservatives are happy and the freaking liberals are blown away. Holy. I could kiss them right now. Holy.
The electronic voting period has
This
ended, and the
might
House will
be
now await
it.
the end of the broadcasting of the votes for members voting electronically before resuming its proceedings. Once the proceedings resume, I will invite members who encounter technical difficulties to identify themselves.
Time out. Let's all slow down here. Nothing's finalized yet. They got to count it. Let's all take a breath. But like, this is pretty interesting, man. So the Bloc voted nay. The NDP voted nay. The Conservatives voted nay. Holy. Oh, there's your Lori. Nunavut. Ikalut. She abstained, you fucking fuck. The one NDP abstained. I don't know. I don't know what the hell this means. She abstained. You fuck. I don't know what that means. So let's all calm down. Let's all take a breath. Let's all calm down, I said. We don't know. Maybe it's a tie. We don't know yet.
If members were not able to vote due to technical difficulties, they may now use the raise hand function and the chair will recognize them. Ms. Gazan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to make sure, like, this budget had nothing for MMI.
I can't hear the honourable member. But the honourable member, if I could have a bit of silence in the House so I can hear the honourable member. How does the honourable member vote?
Yes, I just want to make sure.
She voted yes. Are you fucking kidding me? Was that her answer? Really? Dude, I'm gonna have a heart attack. I need a beer.
Ms. Gazan, your vote has been registered as no. Are you
Lock it in. No take backsies.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
No take backsies. No, it's locked in.
Official opposition House leader has a point.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I had technical difficulty. I would like to vote no.
He was sitting right there. Why didn't he just stand up?
Mr. Reid, you can just recognize
Mr. Reid, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I was unable to.
Mr. Reid, you can just recognize
Mr. Reid, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I was unable to use my app. I would like to vote no.
Okay.
Anyone else? Okay. The table will now compile the results of the vote.
Holy shit. Anyone else got goosebumps?
Yeas pour 170, 170. Nays contre 168, 163.
Je déclare la motion adoptée.
Budget pass.
Thank you, sir.
Budget pass. Fuck. $170 to $168. And I think Matt Genereux abstained from voting.
Thank you. This is for you.
Matt Genereux, the CPC MP that quit after rumors of him crossing the floor, abstained from voting. Had he not abstained, it would have been a tie. had that Nunavut, whatever the fuck her name is, the indigenous chick, not abstained and voted with her party, the vote would have, the budget would have been denied. So that Nunavut chick got paid.
Order. À l'ordre.
And Matt
The House
Jean
will
got
proceed
paid.
with our proceedings. I would just ask all members who are not participating in the adjournment proceedings to please.
Holy shit. This is so scripted. They knew it down to the person. They knew what would happen. They must have. That's insane. Matt Jeneroux abstained from voting. I'm not like talking shit. Go to Twitter and confirm it for yourself. Matt Jeneroux, the conservative who quit a week and a half ago, abstained from voting, and the NDP chick from Nunavut or whatever also abstained from voting. If one of them didn't abstain and just voted with their entire party, then it would have been a tie or a win to defeat the budget. Yeah. I'm going to go get a beer.